Iran has executed a man convicted of spying for Israel's Mossad, a stark and chilling signal of how far the shadow war between Tehran and Tel Aviv has escalated. Coming on the heels of their recent military confrontation, the execution underscores a conflict no longer confined to covert operations, but one now spilling into deadly, irreversible consequences. Iranian state media reported on Wednesday that the individual, identified as Ali Ardestani, was put to death after being found guilty of transferring sensitive security-related information to Israeli intelligence operatives. According to Iran's official news agency, IRNA, Ardestani was accused of acting as a covert asset for Mossad, allegedly supplying images, video footage, and intelligence from what authorities described as sensitive locations inside Iran. The report said he was recruited through online channels and maintained contact with Israeli handlers in exchange for promised financial compensation, including payments made in cryptocurrency. IRNA added that Ardestani was expected to receive a reward worth up to $1 million, along with assistance in securing a British visa. Iran's judiciary-run Mizan news agency confirmed the execution, stating that Ardestani was hanged after the country's Supreme Court upheld his death sentence. Judicial authorities said the case had proceeded through Iran's legal system, including trials in lower courts and final review at the Supreme Court level. Mizan reported that Ardestani had both virtual and face-to-face interactions with alleged Mossad-linked intermediaries inside Iran and was arrested while carrying out what officials described as an active intelligence mission. Iranian officials said Ardestani confessed during interrogations and court proceedings, acknowledging that he knowingly worked with Israeli intelligence. The judiciary characterized him as being fully aware of Mossad's role and objectives, accusing him of deliberate collaboration with what Tehran labels a hostile foreign intelligence service. The execution comes amid a broader crackdown by Iranian authorities on alleged espionage networks following the June conflict between Iran and Israel. Tehran has accused Israel of orchestrating a sustained campaign of covert operations on Iranian soil, including assassinations of nuclear scientists, attacks on military personnel, and cyber operations targeting strategic infrastructure. Iranian officials say such actions amount to terrorism and justify severe punishments for those accused of aiding foreign intelligence agencies. Human rights organizations and several Western governments have strongly criticized Iran's growing use of capital punishment, particularly in cases involving political charges or alleged espionage. Rights groups argue that many defendants are denied transparent legal processes, with trials often held behind closed doors and confessions allegedly extracted under pressure. They have repeatedly raised concerns about the lack of access to independent legal counsel in national security cases. Tehran has rejected these accusations, insisting that those executed were involved in serious crimes, including sabotage and collaboration with hostile intelligence services. Iranian officials have said that since the June air war with Israel, more than 700 people have been detained on suspicion of spying or assisting Israeli intelligence. State media reports indicate that at least a dozen individuals have been executed on similar charges in recent months. The June conflict itself was one of the deadliest direct confrontations between the two adversaries, with Iranian officials claiming nearly 1,100 deaths inside Iran, while Israeli authorities reported 28 fatalities from Iranian missile attacks. The execution of Ardestani reflects the heightened state of alert on both sides and signals that the shadow war between Iran and Israel continues to intensify, even as open hostilities have subsided.
بنده معتقدم مقصر منم. مقصر ماییم. مقصر اون دانشجو، اون کارمند، اون مردم نیست. در نتیجه باید اون عمل کردمون رو باید اصلاح کنیم. نتیجه کار رو باید ببینیم که آیا ما داریم راهی رو که امام نشون داده میریم یا خلاف اون جهت رو میریم. حالا هی بگو ما عاشق امامیم و شعر بگو، هر کاری میخوای بکن، ولی وقتی راه رو نمیری در حقیقت داری آبروی این امام رو میبری، داری در دیدگاه دنیا نحوه این که این امام که میگه اگه امام اینه که شما دارید میرید، چنگی به دل نمیزنه. این رفتار ماست که نشون خواهد داد اون امام و همامی که ما میخوایم به راهش بریم بگن این کیه که اینا رو اینگونه تربیت کرده، اینا رو اینگونه آموزش داده. و اینجاست که ما گیر داریم. اینجاست که باید خودمون یک بار دیگه به خودمون نگاه کنیم. اگر آنچه که ادعا میکنیم همینه، خدا وکیلی چنگی به دل حداقل من میگم نمیزنه. من وظیفه‌م خدمتگزار مردم باشم، شما وظیفتونه گره‌گشای مردم باشید.
Iran is once again on edge. From the streets of Tehran to towns once considered unshakably loyal to the regime, protests are spreading, fast, wide, and dangerously deep. According to BBC, demonstrations have now erupted in at least 17 of Iran's 31 provinces, marking the largest challenge to the clerical establishment since 2022. And that number may only scratch the surface. Reports suggest unrest in as many as 11 more provinces. Meanwhile, human rights group HRANA has put the death toll at 35, including members of the security forces. The spark came on December 28th. A sudden and sharp collapse of Iran's currency sent prices soaring overnight. What began as economic anger quickly turned political. Verified video footage from the past 10 days shows protests in more than 50 cities and towns, including regions long viewed as strongholds of regime support. Cities like Qom and Mashhad, spiritual centers of the Islamic Republic, are now witnessing open defiance. Experts say that shift is critical, and the state's response has followed a familiar path. At first, security forces appeared restrained, but that changed after Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei broke his silence, declaring that rioters must be put in their place.
The uncontrolled rise in foreign exchange rates and the lack of stability in rates and constant fluctuations is not normal. It makes sellers and merchants unable to work. This is done by the enemy. A bunch of people incited or hired by the enemy are getting behind the tradesmen and shopkeepers and chanting slogans against Islam, Iran, and the Islamic Republic. This is what matters most. We talk to protesters. The officials must talk to them, but there is no benefit to talking to rioters. Rioters must be put in their place. We will not back down in the face of the enemy. Relying on the God Almighty and the people's support, we will bring the enemy to its knees, God willing.
Since then, verified footage shows a sharp escalation: gunfire, beatings, hospitals surrounded by security forces. In the western town of Malikshahi, gunshots rang out near government buildings. Human rights groups say 4 people were killed. In nearby Ilam city, security forces were filmed firing toward a hospital. Iran's president has ordered an investigation, but doubts remain. Elsewhere, forces in full riot and military gear have fired on protesters in cities like Fasa and Azna. Violence hasn't been one-sided. Some footage shows protesters fighting back, hurling rocks, setting fires, even attacking security vehicles. In one shocking clip, a security officer's motorbike was set ablaze as chaos erupted. The anger is no longer just economic. Chants of death to the dictator echo through universities. Statues of Khamenei and Ayatollah Khomeini have been burned. Videos show slogans backing Reza Pahlavi, the exiled son of Iran's last Shah. Experts warn the regime is walking a dangerous line. Escalating repression, they say, could deepen public rage while risking exhaustion and fracture within the security forces themselves. Still, analysts caution this is not yet an existential threat. The security forces remain loyal, there are no major defections, and the protests, while widespread, lack a unified strategy to overthrow the state. But the message is unmistakable. The grievances that fueled the 2022 uprising never disappeared. Mismanagement, corruption, repression, they've only grown louder. And once again, millions of Iranians are asking the same question. How long can this system hold before the streets decide its fate?